you doing, everyone? Welcome to this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show, where we talk about life, we talk about liberty, and yes, we talk about the pursuit of happiness, and we show you the world that the Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you're located. Just remember that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Happy to be with you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a question to ask. Why in the world are people still voting Democrat? And this is coming on the heels of the elections that happened Tuesday night. As you know, there was some national, not national elections, but it caught the nation's eye. Where you had the governor of Kentucky, you had the governor of Mississippi. These were big races that everybody was watching. You had the state delegation in the state of Virginia, where Glenn Youngkin was trying to turn the state completely red, where they would have a House and Senate that were Republican. You had the Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania. You had the two amendments that everybody was watching in Ohio. One was an abortion amendment that would allow abortion into their state constitution. And ladies and gentlemen, it was not a good night for Republicans. Now, there is some that are in our industry commentating, or, political insiders that said, look, there was a lot of positives on Wednesday nights. Like there was some races in in New York that were Republicans that won. And ladies and gentlemen, it is to be a Republican and win in New York is very hard. That is true. Mississippi, Reeves did win a second term. There was some in the media that thought that would go into a runoff. It did not. He won it. I think he won over 50%. He had to win over 50% to not run off. I didn't know Mississippi did runoffs, but yeah. So so Reeves stayed in, so we controlled that seat. But ladies and gentlemen, Democrats took over Virginia's House and Senate. Glenn Youngkin is really a lame duck governor now for the next 2 years when he runs in 2025. Kentucky went ahead in a shocking fashion, kept their Democrat governor. Now, Kentucky's weird. Kentucky is kind of like Louisiana in that area where it's deep red. A lot of people in Kentucky are conservative. Same thing here in Louisiana. A lot of people in Louisiana are conservative. And I remember getting asked that question before Governor-elect Jeff Landry was elected to the governorship. Ladies and gentlemen, they would ask me, how is Republican? How does Louisiana have a Democratic governor? How does Louisiana have a Democratic governor? How does Louisiana? You're all red over there. You're the sportsman's paradise. How do y'all have a Democrat governor? And ladies and gentlemen, I would tell them the issues with our Republican Party. I would tell them the issues with everything going on in the state. And ladies and gentlemen, they would kind of understand, but people, it was just kind of weird. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking that question about Kentucky. How you in Kentucky, if you're a Republican, how can you pull a lever for a Democrat, especially with the bad policies that have come out? Ladies and gentlemen, America will not be fixed under Democratic policies. And if you think, oh, yes, they will, look at the news lately. Look, Joe Biden is it's not one of the worst. He is the worst president of the United States, hand down. I used to call Jimmy Carter the worst president of the United States. Even with Barack Obama, I called Jimmy Carter the worst president of the United States. Jimmy Carter raised inflation. Jimmy Carter lost, I don't know how many embassies. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy stank under Jimmy Carter. Biden has surpassed Jimmy Carter. He has surpassed Jimmy Carter to now Jimmy Carter can go to his grave whenever that time is and know that, look, I was not the worst president of the United States. I was the second worst president of the United States. Thank you, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, you have made me the second worst president, and you are the first. Jimmy Carter can say that now. Jimmy Carter does not have to go to the grave thinking he was the worst president of the United States. Now, Jimmy Carter probably don't think that, but ladies and gentlemen, this president is the worst president of the United States ever. But there's some on the left, and look, I experienced this. I put out a TikTok video just giving you a brief summary of my feelings of what happened on Tuesday night. And ladies and gentlemen, the video exploded. We have, at the last time I looked, I think almost 11,000 views on that video in one day. Keep it going. But the comments that are coming and asking me what policies are bad. You're crazy. You're ignorant. You're stupid because you're a Republican. This is the greatest country in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, it is the greatest country in the world. But they were trying to say that Joe Biden was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden has done more to divide this nation than any other president. That is including Barack Obama. And Barack Obama did a heck of a job dividing this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden is not the greatest president on earth. And just Joe Biden alone should show people in this country not to vote Democrat. But they did on Tuesday night, ladies and gentlemen. The people of Kentucky, now you, the people of Kentucky, have spoken. But I heard one pundit say, don't complain when you have high gas prices, or don't complain when you have Democratic policies coming through your state and you're wondering, well, how did this happen? Well, you put in a governor that is Democrat. Now, good thing for Kentucky, I think their state legislation is Republican, so their delegation. So we would have to see how that plays out. The governor of Kentucky, can't think of his name at the moment. They say he works with the Republican Party. So let's hope. Let's just hope. And that's a man, my hope isn't that strong into this Democrat governor of Kentucky to make the right decisions that the Republicans would say, hey, let's do it. But if they're Republicans like Louisiana, they're going to be pressured into doing whatever he wants because the people voted him in. But we're going to have to see. Now let's go to Glenn Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin in the state of Virginia. Glenn Youngkin surprised everybody 2 years ago when he became governor of the state of Virginia. He basically won on, Moms for Liberty, because Moms for Liberty, a branch a group that looks at looks at like schools and stuff. And when Virginia was trying to push government influences on kids in school, Glenn Youngkin came and said, no, you're not. Now, we also had the incident where I think it was Loudoun County in Virginia, where the father that went to the school board meeting was arrested and called a domestic terrorist. Glenn Youngkin took that opportunity. He campaigned on that, and guess what? He won for governor. Moms and parents were upset that the government was trying to force down their throat an ideology of transgenderism. And like I said, he ran on that. Guess what? He won. Now, Glenn Youngkin is popular in the state of Virginia, and Glenn Youngkin went around the state and was hoping to get a majority in their delegation. What was the tipping point for Democrats going to the polls and voting in state representatives and state senators on the Democratic side? It was abortion. Because Glenn Youngkin asked the people of Virginia if they can go ahead and put a Republican majority in the state delegation, that is the Senate and the House of Virginia, and he would go ahead and push a 15-week abortion ban. Ladies and gentlemen, this will tie into what happened in Oklahoma as well. Now, the Democrats, unfortunately, got control of both Senate and House in the state of Virginia. And also, we can tie this into the Ohio amendment that allowed abortion to be put into their constitution. That passed over, I think 55% of the state voted for that to be in the state constitution. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what ties these two stories together is abortion. The Republican Party is trying to stop abortion in this country. I agree with that. They need to. When Glenn Youngkin said, look, I'm going to go ahead and do a 15-week abortion ban if the Republicans gain power, ladies and gentlemen, that struck a nerve with the Democrat Party. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you can have a Democrat Party that is divided, but you mention abortion, all hell's going to break loose. I had one person comment on my video on TikTok the other day, and talking about Democrats, said, look, the devil can come and say, listen, I'm running for president. And a lot of the Democrats will say, oh, well, no, we're not going to vote for the devil. And the first thing he says is, I'm going to give everybody free abortion. The Democrat Party would go ahead and vote for the devil because he pushes free abortion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on this point of abortion, the Republican Party does not need to stop pushing to stop abortion. It is a state issue now. Roe v. Wade is gone. But ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are angry that Roe v. Wade is gone. So now they're pushing every single opportunity to go and vote for abortion rights. And the first words out their mouth is, oh, this is why Glenn Youngkin, this is why they lost in Virginia. This is why in Ohio, in a deep red state, most people want abortion and you Republicans are fighting to take away. This is the people's right. Ladies and gentlemen, majority of Germany believed it was okay to gather up Jews and throw them into concentration camps. Did it make it right? No. Because the majority believes something does not make it right. That is still a baby in the womb. Life starts at conception, and when an abortion happens, that is murder. Now, you might think, well, Isaac, that is your opinion. No, God said, I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. He was talking to Jeremiah at that time. If he knew Jeremiah, he knew everybody. God has a plan for everybody on this earth. But ladies and gentlemen, the left is pushing the narrative, well, all America wants abortion. Okay, if that is true, which there is some polls that indicate it is, does that make it right? If a majority of people want something, does that make it right? No, it does not. It is not right for people to have abortions. But this is the argument that Democrats are using today. Oh, well, because people voted Democrat, that means they want abortion. That does not make it right. Ladies and gentlemen, and that is the center point around Youngkin's, the Virginia's delegation race and in Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the Republican Party doing? They're not putting the message out there. Now, on to this point, because there's a lot of people asking, well, who's to blame for all this? Now, Pennsylvania, before we move on with that point, Pennsylvania had a Supreme Court race that that is their state Supreme Court, and it went blue. Ladies and gentlemen, Pennsylvania, look, there's redistricting, and that's another thing too. A lot of these states went through redistricting, and they went ahead and they made it harder for Republicans to win. So that could play a part in it. But man, Pennsylvania is a flip-flop. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just being blunt. It's a flip-flop, and I don't see Pennsylvania getting any better. Going back to this point, who's to blame for this? Because I saw a news article the other day, and there are two of the Republican candidates that are running for president. Ron DeSantis, one of his staff members, I believe it is, and Nikki Haley made statements about this. They're blaming Donald Trump. It's MAGA. MAGA needs to be pushing it back. No, it does not. MAGA is Make America Great Again. That should be the model. That should be the model. Donald Trump should give that to anybody if he don't run in 2024. Ramaswamy blames McDaniels, the RNC chairwoman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second time she's in charge of trying to get Republicans elected in 2022. Put the hopes and dreams of the Republican Party in 2022 to have a majority in the House and possibly in the Senate It did not happen. You can also blame Kevin McCarthy, but I don't see there's nobody to blame for that. These elections, she put in tons of money. I think I can't talk this morning. I apologize. Just in the Kentucky race alone, I think was $13 million. $13 million went to that governor's race. And ladies and gentlemen, what and we're not talking about it tonight, but the governor's race, the presidential race, there was a debate, 5 candidates and all, and there was a clip sent to me of Vic talking about the media and talking about McDaniels. Who's to blame? Ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you, I think the whole Republican Party is to blame. Now, before you fall off your rocker, just listen to me out for a minute. It is not McDaniels. We can't just put this on one person. We can't just put it on McDaniels. We can't just put it on Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Republican Party, our messaging is bad. All right? But the Democrat Party is pushing all the wrong narratives, but they're marketing it right. They're marketing it to minorities. They're marketing it to college kids that think they're wise, but they're fools. I'm just saying. They're pushing their message. Now, they just don't have nobody to back up that message. Joe Biden, that's the thing. They have issues with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is old. Joe Biden has some issues. Joe Biden is nobody can get behind Joe Biden. That's why he's losing right now, according to some polls. Now, we don't hold polls. We know some polls don't hold water, so that's why we don't quote them too much. But ladies and gentlemen, we can't blame just one person for what happened Tuesday night. We have to blame the Republican Party. The Republican parties, for the last couple of years, bad messaging, bad candidates. The Republican Party has been doing a bad job. Now, you can blame that on McDaniel if you want, but I think it's just the Republican Party as a whole. Also, it does not help us when you have Republicans fight for 2 weeks to pick a House Speaker or fight amongst themselves in the national spotlight, because what happens in the national spotlight is going to reflect on the Republicans that are running in these state elections. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to do something. We need to do something different as a Republican Party. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break. One reminder, we do have Mr. Kieth Dalton, the Pickin Preacher, going to be here with us in the third segment. You want to stay tuned for that. We'll be right back after this break, so please stay tuned. How you doing, everyone? Isaac Hayes here. I'm here to talk to you about Smith Truck and Equipment Sales. I've been part of the trucking industry for a few years now, and I know the importance of finding a company that won't just sell you a truck or a piece of equipment, but will take the time to know you and help you through the process and checking in on you after the sale. That's why we are proud to announce our partnership with Smith Truck and Equipment Sales. Smith Truck and Equipment Sales is a family-owned and operated pre-owned truck and trailer dealership in Lafayette, Louisiana, who have been serving Acadiana for over 40 years. They offer full service, parts and accessories, and financing. They also buy used trucks of all makes and models. You can visit Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 5 at their location at 3010 Northeast Evangeline Thruway, or visit their website, SmithTruckSales.com. You can also give them a call at 337-234-0557 and let their friendly and experienced staff take care of all your truck and trailer needs. Smith Truck and Equipment Sales. Tell them the Cajun Conservative sent you.
Cleansed and made us whole. Not one hoof, not one soul.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. Got a few stories I want to just briefly cover. And look, this week was one of them weeks that you pick up a lot of stories. And I will say this, if I might have to carry some over to the next week, because look, we had the Republican presidential debate. We had all kind of stuff happen in the House of Representatives. Donald Trump went ahead and testified. That was a a really good that was a really good exchange. We had the Nashville shooters manifesto leak some pages of the diary. That one I have in my notes, but I'm probably gonna save that one for next week. I really want to dive into that story. But first, an elderly man dies after confronting with pro-Palestinian protesters at a California rally. What happened was there was a pro-Jewish rally that happened, and the Daily Wire or Fox News calls them pro-Palestinian. I don't. I call them pro-Hamas. So this pro-Hamas protester comes out, and this man's on the street. He's protesting for Israel and hits him with a megaphone. Ladies and gentlemen, now they're holding it as a homicide, but they're also thinking about putting hate crimes on this guy. And ladies and gentlemen, this just proves a point, though. Who are the ones that are committing the violence? Now, see, there's a lot of people that are pointing towards Israel. They're saying, well, Israel has killed 10,000 plus Palestinians, and this is genocide, and this is wrong, and it's evil, all the evil Jewish people. But ladies and gentlemen, we should have known this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, a month now, correction, a month, that the Jewish people were assaulted and attacked. 1,400 Jewish people were in their homes celebrating a festival while these thugs, these murdering cutthroat terrorists ran through the border and killed 1,400 Jewish people. Why? Because they're Jewish and they don't believe in the God that they have. And ladies and gentlemen, people are mad now. Oh, Israel shouldn't be fighting the Palestinians. Israel shouldn't be fighting Hamas. If you don't do nothing with Hamas, guess what? They're going to come back with vengeance. But ladies and gentlemen, this is adding on to another story of mounting evidence showing that the Palestinian people are the ones that are causing violence. Because this isn't the only one. Remember the stories I talked about with the students in the library. Remember the story that I brought out of the pro-Hamas protesters chasing a plane down because they thought they had Jewish people inside of it to hurt the Jewish people. Now we have a death in America of a pro-Israel man, an elderly Jewish man protesting for his country. This pro-Hamas protester comes and hurts him. Well, does not hurt him, kill him. Ladies and gentlemen, this shows the violence of the pro-Hamas protesters. And look, I'm not saying all Palestinians are bad. But ladies and gentlemen, all these pro-Hamas protests that are going on in the world, this shows who's really the culprit behind this war. It is not Israel. Israel didn't wake up on October 7th of 2023 and say, well, we want a war, so we're going to call Hamas and tell them to come over. That didn't happen. What happened, however, was Hamas woke up one day and said, hey, we don't like the Jewish people. Let's plan an assault on them. All right, House votes to censor Rashid Tlaib over anti-Israel comments. That happened in the House this week, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of things happened in the House I want to dive into. But yeah, she has been voted to be censored. Now, this is not removing her of her role. This is just to condemn her on a violence. She made a comment that I'm trying to find it right now. Something about from sea to shining sea or river to river, something of that nature, and really what it is a comment that the Palestinians and the Muslims use to say, hey, we're going to wipe out Israel. It is a war cry. It's the same thing with Allah Obar. The slogan that they were using at the White House a couple of days ago when they had an insurrection at the front steps of the White House. I would call it what it is, an insurrection. The media don't. The media still calls it a demonstration or a mostly peaceful protest. And this was a bipartisan resolution. 234 to 188. There were some Democrats that sided with the Republicans. I think one Republican again sided with Tlaib on this, but she was condemned for making some statements, anti-Israel comments. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just to censor her and say, listen, you're not getting the backing of the Congress for what you're saying. This is right, ladies and gentlemen. This woman is running around, Rashid Tlaib, and just not her. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You have the one from Minnesota. Not Tlaib. It's Ilhan Omar. You have a lot of these a lot of people from the squad that are outright backing, and they don't condone the violence of the terrorists, but they're for the Palestinian people. They're in doing that, they're really backing Hamas. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad Congress did something. 22 Democrats voted with the 212 Republicans, and 4 GOP lawmakers voted against the measure. Ladies and gentlemen, why? This is what I don't get with the Republican Party. Republicans, you're supposed to stand up for values. You're supposed to stand up for something that's right. Before, knucklehead Republicans went ahead and no, we don't want it because, and they use it, well, this is free speech. Okay, I understand free speech. You condemning as a government body condemning the comments of one of your members is not suppressing the free speech. She can have 20 of these and she still can live her life right, or live her life as a congressperson. Ladies and gentlemen, but I'm happy I'm happy that this happened because, ladies and gentlemen, it needed to get done. Because if not, she would have kept on going and doing it. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a shame. It's a shame. One more article before I get into a major story. I want to talk about the Trump case in New York, which is a crap show, unfortunately. But House approves bill slashing Pete Buttigieg's salary to $1. Now, this comes on the heels that it was shown that Pete Buttigieg, I call him Buttigieg. Yeah, it's Buttigieg, but I call him Buttigieg because he lies so much, he got so full of holes. But the bill was introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene, and ladies and gentlemen, it passed the House because, like I said, there was proof that he was taking taxpayer dollars, flying private jets. Pete Buttigieg has not been doing his job as transportation secretary. So, ladies and gentlemen, and they cut his salary down to $1 a year. Look, and this is what Republicans need to do, okay? I don't always agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, but this is what Republicans need to do. If somebody is not doing their job, you need to cut their pay. Look, if I don't do my job, I get fired. All right? And ladies and gentlemen, Pete Buttigieg has not been doing his job. He has been doing everything in his power to push woke agendas to help the president, and he's not helping out with roads and other projects. Now, people might argue, well, Isaac, you don't know that. You don't know all his duties. Really? Because I haven't seen him in a while. Sometimes we don't even know who the Secretary of Transportation is, but we see their handiwork. We see that they're doing something right. But not Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg is always running around just doing his own thing and pushing woke agendas. And ladies, especially with the announcement that he went ahead and flew on luxurious jets on our dime to go and do campaign rallies or whatever they were, ladies and gentlemen, that just proves that this man is milking off of the American people. So his salary is to $1. Marjorie Taylor Greene even said that if they could cut it out completely, hey, now look, that's how you stop the debt too as well. You cut things off. All right, let's move on to our main story, which is Donald Trump right now is leading in 5 key states. We didn't, like I said, there was a lot going on. That's what the poll says. He leads in 5 battleground states. Before I continue, just a reminder, and I got to remind myself, Mr. Kieth Dalton will be with us on the next segment, talking about his small business and his YouTube channel. We're going to have fun with that. I love Pastor Keith, real good friend of mine. But going back to this, Donald Trump is leading in 5 battleground states. That is according to a New York Times poll. And 5 of the key battleground states, Donald Trump, some of them he's winning according to the poll. Now, New York Times, I don't really trust the New York Times. Is there agenda behind this? Are they trying to push in case Joe Biden gets out saying, well, look, we reported in favor of Donald Trump. Look at this poll we ran. Look at this and this. But ladies and gentlemen, if this poll is true, this is why Donald Trump is caught up in so many court cases. Not that he did something wrong. Now, look, if he did something wrong and it's proven beyond the shadow of a doubt, and you don't have a biased judge and a biased attorney general, as we're about to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, he needs to be faced with justice. I'm not one to say, well, it's Donald Trump. He can go hurt somebody and he can get away with it. I'm not saying that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's more obvious as the election gets closer that there are people, the reason they want Donald Trump in court, even on the Republican side, is not to find justice, is to have a political advantage over him. Because Donald Trump, they're already setting up the court dates on super election days, Super Tuesday and important election days. They're doing that on purpose. And I firmly believe that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why do I say that? Well, as we said, Donald Trump took the stand this week. And ladies and gentlemen, in true Trump fashion, got into it with the judge. Whose fault was there? Well, it was the judge. Now, this is the same judge, Engoron, I think his name is, already passed judgment on Donald Trump, saying that his company, the Trump organization, already committed fraud. Now, this is in appeals court right now with the fraud case. But ladies and gentlemen, this case is saying that Trump and his kids broke the law because they overestimated their property values to get insurance and stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump was trying to make some points. It was the Arthur Engoron was supposed to be listening to Donald Trump on a few of what he was saying, and Kevin Wallace, a lawyer in the New York Attorney General's office, began questioning the president during his unprecedented time on the stand, specifically about his statements of financial conditions. They asked Donald Trump about some documents and stuff, and Donald Trump started explaining into, and Engoron interrupted him. Engoron said Wallace was being patient but wanted the question to move fast along. Please just answer the question. No speeches. Ladies and gentlemen, now Trump was answering the question, and he was trying to say, Donald Trump was making a speech. Now, Trump's defense lawyer, Chris interjected, saying the questions are open-ended and require lengthy answers. So it wasn't a yes/no question. You had to explain it. Now, they kept on. He showed Trump some statements and read partial of the statements and asked Donald Trump on it. And Donald Trump started giving the answer. And the judge, Donald Trump made a statement saying, "I'm sure the judge will rule against me." Engoron fired back at Chris, asking if Trump's comments was a necessary part of the narrative. Kish said the judge should allow the former president of the United States little latitude. And the judge went on to ask Trump to answer the question. You can attack me as much as you want, but please answer the question. Donald Trump was answering the questions. Trump testified he authorized and gave pre-prepared information that was necessary for those statements. I'm probably more expert than anyone else. So someone would ask me, and if I had an opinion, I would give it, Trump said. Wallace went on to ask former president if the values on the statements were even off. Trump said on occasion they were either higher or lower when asked. For example, for the former president said Mar-a-Lago was underestimated, but I didn't do anything about it. Values are far bigger than what are on the statements. I thought 40 Wall Street Doro was underestimated, considerably much valuable, he said, of his properties. In a shot at Engoron, Trump said, judge said the Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million, but it is worth 50 to 100 times more than that. But the judge ruled against me. Trump said, I don't know how he got to those numbers. Now, Trump started adding the most valuable asset and started bringing out. Wallace went on to ask additional questions, but Trump continued speaking. Engoron fired at Kish, which is the attorney for Donald Trump. Can you control your client? This is not a political rally. This is my courtroom. I've asked the witness several times to answer the question. He said maybe you should have to talk with him right now. Kish said some questions called for narratives. Engoron slammed Trump, saying, in addition to not answering your repetition, Mr. Kish, can you control your client? Talking to the lawyer. Now, Trump's lawyer argued that the questions are not tight questions and that Trump is not a lawyer. Oh, I'm trying to find where. Yeah, so after this whole exchange with Kish and the judge made a statement, and this is what I want to focus on for the last couple of minutes of this segment. The judge went ahead and made this statement. I don't want to hear anything he has to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, after what I've read, and I've cut a lot back because of time's sake, what is a judge there for? Okay, a judge is there to make a ruling, but he has to hear all the evidence. And then, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I say this is a political case right here. Because when a judge makes a statement, I don't want to hear anything he has to say. Well, the judge should just throw down the gavel and call him guilty and let it go to the appeals court. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why this is a sham case. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge estimated Mar-a-Lago to be $18 million on a prominent area of Florida. Now, there is a lot, and I heard this from Sean Hannity. There is a lot a few blocks down Mar-a-Lago. Nothing's on it. It's just a piece of dirt. That's all it is. A land that is empty. It's void. It was $200 million, if I'm not mistaken. Prime real estate. And Mar-a-Lago is only $18 million worth. Ladies and gentlemen, that was to prove that Donald Trump committed fraud, and they had to bring down the numbers. Now, there is some that are asking, why did the judge do this? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the judge cannot let Donald Trump talk. If Donald Trump talks, guess what? He proves his case that, look, it was underestimated. We didn't estimate this. This was other people we hired. The judge, that's why the judge don't want to hear what Donald Trump had to say, because if he started hearing what Donald Trump had to say, he had to rule in his favor. And if he doesn't hear what Donald Trump says, and he only hears what the prosecutor says, guess what? He can rule that Donald Trump committed fraud. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a tutorial justice system. Because the judge in his heart already said Donald Trump is guilty. I'm going to convict Donald Trump. He's guilty. This is a whole, look, they shouldn't even went to this courtroom. They should have just asked the judge, hey, judge, rule on it. He rules on it and send it to the appeals court. Ladies and gentlemen, this case right here proves the only reason that the Democrats or these Democrat attorney generals and these Democrat district attorneys are going after Donald Trump is not because of justice. It's because they want to stop him from running in 2024 because they know their old boy Joe Biden, Crazy Joe, cannot win this election against any Republican, in my humble opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why it's not because of justice. I don't care how many people on the left tell me, oh yeah, we want Donald Trump to pay for his crimes. What crimes? Ladies and gentlemen, and look, this is they're gonna plaster this all over that Donald Trump got convicted in the New York case. But ladies and gentlemen, if it goes to appeals court and the appeals court is not in New York, Donald Trump has a fair shot. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a liberal judge. That is the case is brought to him by a liberal attorney general that ran on stopping Donald Trump. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why the judge made a statement. I don't want to hear anything he has to say. Because they can't go beyond their political bias. And a judge needs to do that to be fair. And ladies and gentlemen, the judge is not fair. What I read right here, it's not fair. With that being said, we're going to come back in the third segment with Mr. Kieth Dalton. Please stay tuned for that. We'll be right back after this short break, so please stay tuned. How you doing, everyone? Isaac Hayes here. In America, hair loss is a problem for most adults. 60% of men will have to deal with hair loss by the age of 50, and 50% of women will experience hair loss in their lifetime. Now, some people may not worry about the receding hairline, but if you are, I want to tell you about HairClub. HairClub has 40 plus years dedicated to restoring hair and rebuilding confidence. They have over 650 expert consultants and 120 locations across America to help you on your journey to stop your hair loss. If you would like to see what HairClub can do for you, go to the description of this episode and hit the link to their website and schedule an appointment with one of their consultants to get you what you need to restore your hair. Remember to use the promo code BGSmedia10 at the checkout to get 10% off the price.
You're my peace of mind when this old world seems to get me down.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to the third and final segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. As I always play that song, ladies and gentlemen, because when we have trials and tribulations or we hear bad news, guess what? He is still on the throne. So, and that's a friendly reminder. And thanks to Mr. Lanny Hayes for allowing me to use that song. Like I said, great guy. He's my dad, so I gotta give him credit sometimes. Without further ado, though, as we talked about in other segments of the show, earlier segments of the show, we have Mr. Kieth Dalton. He is the Pickin Preacher. And also the Pickin Preacher, and the pack. Hey, you packing though, huh? You Second Amendment guy, I hope, you know.
There you go, yes sir.
The Pickin Preacher, and also pastor in Mississippi, a real good friend of mine, and a small business owner. Kieth, what's happening, man?
Man, nothing much. Just like I said, I'm just busy.
Oh no, not us, not being full-time workers and ministers. Come on, we're never busy.
No, not at all.
So how's everything in Mississippi? I know you have at the time of this recording, you have a big election coming up.
Yeah.
So you going? I hope you go and vote.
I'm still, you know how I am. I just want to make sure somebody's solid. So.
Right. Well, your incumbent governor over there has done a great job for the state of Mississippi. So hey, at least he's doing something good.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, man. The reason we first off we were acquainted way before we were YouTubers.
That's right.
I think when we met originally, I was just a podcaster. I wasn't a YouTuber yet. But a few weeks ago,
that's right.
a few months now, I seen you start your YouTube channel. You started picking for a living. You used to be a landscaper. But you're a small business owner. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on in your end on that side?
Yeah. So, you mentioned landscaping. I had a landscaping business for 10 years, and I hurt my back real bad. And I'll tell you what, overhead was horrible. So, it was killing me financially, and equipment breakdowns and all that stuff. And I started reselling on the side, just like electronics, clothes, shoes, go garage sales. And I started noticing it was making pretty good income, and it gave me more freedom of time because I'm a pastor of a small church, and the landscaping was keeping me so busy. Pastor of the church, I would be late. That's not good.
No.
And some like evangelism or something like if there's some kind of event, I'm some things I might not even be able to do, just because it would keep me so busy, especially when the weather was bad, and then I would have to catch up. And so I just wanted to make more time for that and for my family. And so I ended up selling all of my equipment, and I just went into full-time reselling, and that's been since November of last year. So, so I love it. It's not hurting my back anymore, other than picking up big boxes, but I'm able to be here with my family. I'm able to, answer phone calls. And also I can set my schedule. Like if I'm behind, I can work at night. I couldn't do that, landscaping. I'd have to get, up before the sun came up, and I had, I couldn't see, basically I wouldn't see my kids. I would leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 6, but usually about 5. And we'd go get gas, go get everything loaded up, get to the first commercial job so that we could be early. And then by the time I got home, we were eating, I was so, beat. And I would take a shower, And I was like, I would sit down for maybe a few minutes, but I was so tired. I would pass out on the couch or the floor sometimes. And then I would go to bed at like 8. And so I never saw my kids really, or my wife. And it was like that every day. And so that's why I started doing this. And it's been great, man. It's, I would say not making as much right now, but it's starting to, make it's starting to do, pick up and do pretty well, especially right now.
Now, in your YouTube channel, you deal mostly with video games though too,
That's right.
because I've been part of I say part. I've been in the live chat of a lot of your live streams, and you have a lot of people that are knowledgeable about video games and vintage games. Of back in the day. My generation was Super Nintendo. That was my first game that I played when I was a young man.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see in the back, like you can see here and then over here. So I have all kinds of stuff. I never would have thought, but the business is kind of brought up, like you said, back in my day. So it brought up nostalgia for me, and so I would find these games, and so that's why I have back there. I have that. I call it my investment pile, but it's it's a collection. But it's two things. It's something I can share with the kids. What did you do when you were younger? And so they get to play those games. And so when they're older, they can do whatever they want with it. But you also see stacks of stuff of games. That is my main focus. I would probably say 90% of what I sell is video game or toys, something, mostly video games, consoles. But I do sell like shoes and clothes and electronics, anything to make a buck off of it if it has a good sell-through rate.
And that leads me to, because people might be listening to this. Isaac, you're the Cajun Conservative. You're talking about video games. What's the political side of this? You're a small business owner. I work for, some people will label my boss now, and my dad. I used to work with my dad. Small business owners. BGS Media here is starting to ramp up. We're expanding every day. Awesome. We're all small business owners here, and I see their side of it for the construction and landscaping. My brother's a landscaper. I see it on that side as well. But as a picker, how does the economy, how does the economy affect you? Because if people like video games, but if they don't have money in the bank, how do you cope with that type of economy we have right now?
Yeah. So. Very good question. So I've only been in it, like I said, full time for a year. So I'm still kind of learning that. I will tell you this: in the summer, because this is new to me, I wasn't expecting. Summer was miserable. I went from, I think average 90 day, was it 90 days? Yeah. Average 90-day sales was like 20,000, something like that. And it plummeted in the summer down to 10,000. And I'm just now building it back up. And because all the previous days, it's still holding on from all my bad days.
Right.
So now it's starting to pick up. It's still not where it was like last year, but it definitely hit. And I think it's multiple things. At least for my business, is me learning like what to focus on in different seasons. That's kind of the thing, because the summer, a lot of people are going vacation. They're going to want something more vacation material, is that the right word? You know what I mean?
Summer vibes.
Yeah. So games though, and so Christmas coming up, people love games. I think it's like 78% of Americans play video games on a regular basis, which is pretty crazy. Which, even though I sell video games, that can be, we're talking about conservative. I mean, I can see the issue, and I know some people didn't like that I was selling games, but I can see the issue because there are a lot of kids obsessed, and there's a lot of horrible games out there, and so I can understand some of that. But yeah, anyways, I would say it's picking up right now because of the time of year, but it's definitely not as good as it was last year. So I've had to make a lot of improvisations of like sourcing and how I source, and I've had to cut margins to get more items, and I'm doing things a little differently. Like now I'll sell some stuff in bulk to other resellers, and like there's some major companies I'll sell off, like a huge bulk off to, like there's a company called DK Oldies, and I sold like just a whole bunch. You ever heard of the console Nintendo Wii?
Yep.
So I sold like 7 of them, and then like I don't know, like 50 games. They have specific ones, but so I cut my margins a little, but it's faster. I'm learning to have to sell faster, and before margins were better because sell through was fast, or turnover was fast, but it's not as good as it was. You got to wait for right buyers. So I more so try to sell to resellers as much as I can. So just in anytime economy's bad, you got to figure it out. I've just started buying other things. I'm not just, I got so focused on games, but I'm doing other stuff as well.
And you're basically be more like a retail setting, because you have to have the inventory in there, but that inventory does not move.
That's right.
Right away. So that's where you have to, you have to go ahead and figure out, hey, what's going to move at that time. Because stores do that. They run sales and all that. So.
Yeah. And so I do that too. Like I'll go on different platforms and I'll make deals to people. But the good thing is, since I'm out of debt, so it's always good to be out of debt, right?
Yeah.
So, I can.
Dave Ramsey's would really love you right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it's a really good thing, and so like a lot of people right now are like, man, I'm not selling, so I'm able to buy from them, and they're happy. So like, there's like 3 different people across the country I'm buying bulk from. I'm spending a lot of money, but that's what you have to do. So I'm thankful that I'm out of debt, so I can do that.
Now I got a question about this, because you say you team up with other sellers. I see it on your live stream all the time with YouTube. You have different channels come in. A few of the guys that you hang out with, they subscribe to us on the Cajun Conservative Show.
Oh, for real? That's awesome.
About 4 or 5 of them for sure.
That's cool.
The Rushmore podcast, I think it is.
Yeah, really good guys.
They subscribed, and I've subscribed to them.
And they're Christians. They're solid. I met them, and they love the Lord. They're in ministry actually.
And that's what I was about to ask you with this community, the Pickin community, I guess. Are they like the conservative community? Because look, I'm gonna give shout outs to my friends, Culper's Canteen Cubs. We have Calderese Unleashed, the Mike Wright podcast, Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show with the Rumble. We all tight. We text all the time. You get what I'm saying? We text news stories. We talk about things. Are y'all like that? Are y'all tight knit like that, or what?
So, yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna, I'll word it the best way I can. Not everybody's Christians. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, same in my industry.
I was actually shocked. There was actually a lot of Christians, but because it's video games and they're trying to push a liberal agenda on a lot of games, I was actually shocked how many people were fed up with that. In fact, there's a company called Limited Run, and they make like rare games that they fired somebody because the person was like I don't even remember, such a big deal. They like made some statement on their personal social media about Trump, how they like Trump, and how they were against I don't like the transgender story hour, drag queen story hour or something. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here.
Yeah, you finally go.
Okay, so and anyways, they fired the guy. Was it a guy? I can't remember exactly.
They censored him basically.
Do what?
They censored him basically.
Well, no, they fired him.
Right.
Or her. I can't remember if it's a guy or girl. But anyways, a lot of the people in the game community actually boycotted them. Wow. And now resellers, there's definitely a lot of conservative people. One of the reasons is because of fiscal reasons. They're entrepreneurs. It's so I would absolutely say so. And I've met a lot of Christians. We might have some different theology, but I would say so. There's definitely, though, because like there's just like anything, there's definitely some people that are not at all. And I don't really, I'm nice to everybody, but I would say I'm pretty tight knit with a lot, because I'm in reseller. I have a reseller accountability group, and then I have another one with content creators for games and stuff, and we're pretty tight knit. So.
Yeah, and then especially on YouTube, or in my case, Rumble and YouTube, it's always nice to have them people you can always call and say, hey, look, what do you think about this? Or, hey,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
what's your advice on this right here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I definitely have that. It took a while to get there, but you know, that's just like anything. You start doing it, and you just start meeting more people that are in the space.
Yeah, and you get to know, you get opportunities to also go on platforms. You get what I'm saying? I bet you never thought you'd be on a conservative podcast talking about video games.
Not talking about video games. I figured I would eventually, just being the pastor of a church, and you've had some people that I know that have been on here and for preaching and stuff. So, yeah, it's actually opened up a lot of doors too for me, because, as you know, and without going all into that, I've been pretty, what's the word, polarized. I've been a very polarizing person with street preaching, but it's actually opened up a lot of doors. People are seeing I'm just a normal laid back guy, and I've gotten a chance to get on some pretty worldly, pretty rough podcasts and share my faith. Nothing huge, but there's one in South Mississippi, and they had me on and wanted to share. He asked me to share my testimony, and I thought that was really cool. And same thing as sharing about games, and yeah, so it's been pretty cool.
And it's funny how God works. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
funny how
yeah.
God works, because look, on this podcast, you know, brothers just searching our sister podcast here, BJS Media. That, that's the gospel. We Bible study, we talk about certain topics, and
Yeah.
you would expect somebody to listen to that and say, look, we want to know more about their faith. But a political podcast like this, you'd be surprised, Keith, how much time that I come on there and I talk about the Lord, and I get the emails or I get the comments on YouTube or Rumble saying, listen, that was encouraging, that was a blessing, and,
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
God, you know this, and I probably half of my audience knows, but a lot of people put God in a box. And there's a
Absolutely.
lot of Christians out there that'll say, well, God can't use politics, or he can't
That's right,
use
yeah.
a gaming preacher or the Pickin
right,
Preacher
yeah.
to win souls. But it's funny how God opened doors for us to share our faith on all these platforms.
Yeah, that's actually, so when I started it, one of the things is that I had kind of a fear of man, because I was in a circle and I didn't want people to think, oh, he's not holy, he's doing video games, and so I ended up starting the channel, and I was praying. I was like, God, I really want to just be used. And one thing I just want to encourage people, even outside of faith, I want to be, like, help people, even if they don't want to come to the Lord. I want to help them better themselves. I don't think that's wrong. And it's crazy. I did a video. I'll have to send it to you. It was kind of my testimony. And when that one came, I was flooded with people that aren't Christians. And they were like, man, I was in tears. Something you said, man, it hit me. And I want to know more. And there's one guy I've been witnessing to, and he sent me a private message and said, man, I was in tears. I don't know what was going on, but something you said really, man, that was pretty powerful. And I was talking about turning from sin, and I was talking about just the grace and mercy of Christ to save me. None of us are worthy of eternal life, but he still died to set us free if we would put our trust in him. And I was talking about he's the only way. I talked about heaven. I talked about hell. And I was shocked. I got like agnostics and people that are definitely not Christians, just whatever, were telling me that they've never heard it gospel presented that way. I was like, wow, it's kind of a shame to us, to think that, like, why aren't we as Christians sharing that, But yeah, using video games, and the channel, like you said, your channel is more political. It's not focused on your faith, but the thing is your faith is going to be demonstrated in everything you do. And that's something, I've tried telling people. It's like, I don't have to force my faith. I can show people who I am, and because Christ lives in me, the light will shine. And it's been a huge opportunity, and it's humbled me a lot, because I've met a lot of Christians that I probably would have looked down on. I'll just be honest. I would have looked down on before, and I've been real humbled by it. So it's been a huge blessing for me.
So going forward, like you said, you got the Christmas season coming up. You're gonna have a lot of games going out. What can people find if they contact you and say, look, Keith, we want a certain game or so? 'Cause
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of games out there that are rare that are still in houses that people don't know they have.
that's
You know,
right.
if somebody's asking for specific games or Pacific console, how do they go ahead and get with you and they
Yeah.
buy that from you?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you can just, I'm on Instagram. I'm on, you know, YouTube. You can contact me on there and just search the Pickin Preacher. And I have an email, thepickinpreacher@gmail.com. And yeah, and I can hook you up. And I don't have, obviously I don't have everything. There's so much stuff.
Yeah,
Can I say something on that?
sure, go ahead. Yeah,
I would also, if anybody that has stuff like games, if they do have old or even old toys, anything like that, as a reseller, something I've learned is to find value in everything you have. And if you have like old toys, old games, I would take it and look it up and don't just sell to a major retail. I would contact people online, contact forums, and like find a Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, and join groups. Like, let's say you have Nintendo, join Nintendo groups, and there's people that will buy, and they'll pay you a higher value. So if you do have anything, you'd be shocked. You can resell on the side. It doesn't have to be a full time. Most people don't resell full time. Most people are part time, and so. Like you could do it if you wanted to. You can go to Bronx on Saturday.
I might have to do that, but man, man, I played flag football last weekend with my youth group. Right now, I'm hurting, and it was hard to go up and down that truck. No, but I got one question to ask you. What's the rarest game you ever found, or what's the rarest item you ever found? It's
Man,
probably in that collection in the back, huh?
No, actually.
No.
So that's what got me collecting, because I'm just being honest. I thought when I first got into this, I was like, man, these 40-year-old men, these dorks. And here I am back here. I used to make fun of that. Once again, God humbled me. But once I started finding stuff, I got real like, wow. I haven't found anything super well. I have one thing back here. It's an Atari Jaguar, and I found an Atari Jaguar. It was back in the 90s, and the machine itself is like, now it's not as valuable as some other stuff I found, but it's super rare. No one ever finds these. The machine is like $400, and I found it in a shed, somebody's shed. They pulled it out, and it was nasty. It had like roaches, and I opened it up and I cleaned it. It is turning on. I have to order some parts, so I'm going to get it fixed. But and then I found a house. I went into a house when I first got into this, and this is when it was all resale for me. I used to, when I was landscaping, I would do house cleanouts. You ever heard of trash outs?
Right, yeah.
Like, evicted home. Well, I went in there, and there was boxes full of, I knew they were rare games. It was like role-playing games back on Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 and 64, and they were all in the boxes. They were all in meticulous condition, and I went, oh, wow. And so I gave my bid to get the job to clean everything out, and I said, hey, if I don't win this bid, can I buy these games? And he said, you can have them right now.
Wow.
I said, no, man, I'm just being real with you. This stuff's valuable. And so he said, I don't care. I was like, no, it's valuable. I don't think you understand. He said, take it. So I took everything. I took offers on everything, and I probably profited $3,500 to $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just left in a house sitting in boxes. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize. I went into somebody's attic once at a garage sale, and I bought a whole bunch of G.I. Joes for like $400. Same thing. I made like $3,000 on it.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it's crazy.
You wouldn't be surprised. You'd be surprised what people don't know the value of certain things, and they're not into it. You get like you, hey, if you see a certain game, I'm trying to think of a game right offhand. It'll probably be the baseball game that I saw one. I remember I seen one of your videos. I was like, I had that game, and now I don't know where it's at. But it was MLB.
Was it NCAA 2K14?
No. Correction. Okay, it wasn't. I thought it was N64. It was Ken Griffith Jr. on Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had that game growing up.
Yeah.
And I had it for the longest time. I don't know where that game is at. I need to find it. Then I get in touch with you.
Well, I think Ken. There is. I turned my phone off. There was a Ken Griffey. It was either 64. Is that what you're talking about, or Super Nintendo? Because there was one that was actually really, really valuable. A lot of sports games aren't that valuable, but there's a few that are really valuable.
It was for Super Nintendo. I remember it was a square. Because I remember blowing into it growing up. Remember when you blew into it to make it work better?
Yeah. Yep, I definitely know about the blowing.
I'm showing my age right there. Bro.
Look, I'm 30. I'm 37. I think I'm 30. Am I 37?
Oh, yeah. I'm 31, man.
I'm older than you, man.
But Keith, if you want to go ahead and again, say any last words before we end this interview in this episode. But thank you for coming on. That I'll say, after this again. But man, it's a real pleasure having you on. But yeah, any last words for the people of the Cajun Conservative Nation?
Yeah. If anybody is signing in the first time and you like conservative information, conservative podcasts, you should subscribe.
Yeah,
you should subscribe to the to the Cajun Conservative and follow his stuff. So I'm subscribed. So. Do
you like the show, man? Do you like this Cajun flair?
I've come on a few times and I've enjoyed it. So
awesome. And now Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show would kick me in my rear end if I didn't ask you. Do you like Angry Isaac?
I don't know about who.
Angry Isaac. Oh,
you said Angry Isaac?
Yeah, Angry Isaac. Yeah.
I thought you said anger.
No.
Do I like Angry Isaac?
Remember, Scott listens to this. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'm recognizing that. Where you get real angry?
Yeah, well, I get very angry sometimes. I live in the world of politics, though, man.
Yeah. Well, because see, I just found you not long ago, and so I don't know because I've seen a few of your lives with people, but I haven't seen you get angry. I'll have to watch more stuff. So
I'm opening up a can of worms right there.
He don't want you getting angry.
No, he likes it when I get angry. If you listen, Scott says he loves it when he gets angry, and I always mess with him about that. He calls me Angry Isaac when I get mad. I'll send you a short from YouTube when I call this country a mess, and you're gonna see. So, but
it is right now, man.
Yeah,
There's so much craziness right now.
But hey, as I always say at the end of the show, greatest heat is in us than heat is in the world. You get what I'm saying? Amen. So, because our faith is, like you said, everything we do, our faith is shown, and that's what I like about your channel. I like about your family, and what I try to do here is try to show Christ as much as possible.
Yeah, amen.
And a lot of times, a lot of people say, Isaac, you get mad. I say, I'm not mad. I'm passionate, but. When you get that righteous anger, you're like, how could this keep on going?
It's okay to be mad. As long as you don't let the sun go down on your anger.
Yes, sir. And I tell you, I got to drink a lot of Dr. Pepper for it to go.
Man.
But Keith, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it, and we're going to do this again soon, man.
For sure, man. I had fun. Definitely. I'll have to have you on sometime. So.
Anytime, my brother. Let me know when and where.
Definitely, man.
All right, everybody, that was the Pickin Preacher, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kieth Dalton. He's a pastor also in Mississippi. I should have asked him for the church, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get that next time from him. But until then, this is going to end the episode of the Cajun Conservative Show. Remember that Jesus Christ is King. He's coming back, and he's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus, your Lord and Savior, reach out to me at thecajunconservative5@gmail.com. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. Remember to subscribe and to follow on all the platforms. It helps me out more than you know. If you have the option, give me a 5-star review on the platform, on the podcast platforms. That helps get the show out. So until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. Remember again, Jesus Christ is King, and he's coming back. So be cheer, be happy. The Lord is in control. Until next time, be blessed. You have a good one.